Okay, so you snug that down nicely. You don't need to get that really tight at this stage because we need to be able to modify it, obviously. So I start with getting the noseband measurement right, because basically the noseband, the two pieces of the noseband run into one side of the loops of the feed or not, and then the other side of the loops run out into the two pieces that we're then going to use to tie the rest of the halter. So we get the noseband right. Doesn't matter then how big or small the loops are. We make the loops the size we want, and they run out into here, and then we go about making the rest of the halter. So for a full-sized halter, and it will depend if you have an average-sized, let's just say a 15-hand thoroughbred or a 14 2-hand quarter horse, standard sort of a full size. We're looking at going from the base of the feed or not to the tip of the noseband, and we want to make it about 12.5 inches. So obviously this is a little bit too short. So I'm going to go into the feed or not and pull some length out of these loops. So you want to follow each side of the noseband. Do one side at a time. Follow it into the feed or not. See, it comes down around here, and it's connected to this part of the loop. So you just push a little bit out of the loop. Again, I'm holding on to the feed or not. I can come back to this side of the noseband, and I can feed that out. See, nice. I've extended that. I'm going to do it roughly the same on the other side. So follow it through this side into here. Obviously, it comes out of the other loop. Push that down a little bit. Feed my noseband out. I want to try and keep these knots nice and even. Just check that roughly. So that's 11, nearly 12 inches. I just want a little bit more. So now that the feed or knot's a little bit loose, I can just hold on to it all and give a little bit of a tug on both sides of the noseband, just to snug it out. Closer to 13 inches is good, because as I snug the feed or knot down, it's going to tighten that in just a smidge. You can always snug this out, half an inch here or there towards the end, but I find that that's about enough. So I want to get that nice and even. A little bit of a snug down again. Right, so now, and you may find that your loops are uneven. That doesn't matter at this point. So we've got the noseband roughly where we want, so we can turn it over and now draw our attention to the two pieces that go out to make the rest of the halter. Holding the feed or knot again, we're now going to follow each of these up into our loop and get the loop. Ideally a loop should be about 2.5 inches. 3 inches I find is too long, but if you want to leave a little bit of extra in the loops to make your noseband bigger, potentially bigger, then leave more space in the loops. But if you potentially want to make the noseband smaller, make your loops a little bit shorter. So we're going to go down into there. This one snugs it down. Go to the other. Follow that up into this loop. Now, when we're in the loops here, we want to make sure that our loops are the same size. Be a bit pedantic about this, guys, because when your lead rope is then attached, all of the weight of anything that the halter and the lead rope does, whether the horse is pulls back, or is just tied up, or which is using it in daily use, you want these to be even, because when they're not, they put pressure into the feed or not. Something gets pulled on one loop more than the other, the feed or knot can get pulled out of shape. That's when the halter can potentially fall apart. Quite often I see halters where the feed or knot has come apart because people have attached one rein. If they're riding in a halter, they've attached one rein to one loop and one rein to another. Don't do that ever. These two loops work together. These two loops work together, and they must stay together. They must be equal and even, and they must never be separated to use separately. Find that one. Please excuse my crazy double jointed thumbs. They're a little bit funky, but That's just the way they are. So, you know, we've got sort of about 3 inches in the loops there, which is fine. I'm going to snug the feeder down a little bit now, and then, actually no, I'm going to take a little bit more out of the loops because they are a little bit long for how I like them. And when I snug the feeder knot down using the loops, it's going to make the loops a little bigger again. Doesn't matter if the loops have a little bit of a twist in them, they're not perfect, doesn't matter too much. Okay, so now I've got my loops the way I want them. I've got the noseband the length I want it, and I want to snug this feeder down before we proceed on. Take all 4, noseband and the 2 long pieces, and hold on to that. This is where, with the stiffer rope particularly, my pliers come into play because my thumbs are a bit dodgy. So I want to hold all 4 together and snug each one of these evenly and equally, and just do it, rotate it around, just go from one to the next, and you'll see they'll snug down into there. Go around again. It's a bit like doing up the nuts on a wheel. You change a tyre. I'm going to go around and do it equally and evenly all the way around the knot. I do have a little vice contraption that I can attach to my loops and vice down here, and I can put tension on the 2, but you can go around that as many times as you like, and you can snug it down, you know, as firmly as you like. You can also put an elastic band or a piece of masking tape around if you're unsure, just to hold it in place while you go about making the rest of the halter. So now we have 12-inch noseband, 2.5-inch loops, and we're ready to move on to make the rest of the halter. At this point, what you need to double check is that when the feeder knot is facing towards you and the noseband is open, these 2 pieces that come out of the bottom of the feeder knot, the one that is furthest away from you must be the long piece. That must be the long piece, this must be the short piece. Because if it's not, this next blood knot that we tie down here will switch those 2 over. The long piece will be closest to us, and we will continue on to make the halter with that. If you've got these 2 the other way around, something went wrong in the feeder knot making. You cannot continue to make the halter. It will end up either backwards, you'd have to make it backwards, or it's just not going to work. You're going to run out of space with the short length. So check that. When it lays down flat like this, the noseband should come up as if the horse's head were going to go through here. This is the little piece underneath the chin. Make sure the piece furthest away from you is the long piece. The piece closest to you is the short piece. If that's not right now is your chance to undo it, go back, fix it up, get it right. Then we can move on.